Hey, honey, how was school today? It was different. We had health class today. Different how? You usually like that class. Mrs. Peterson was talking about, you know, sexual health and stuff. And then Julia started crying in the middle of class.
Oh, no. What happened to Julia? Is she okay?
Mom, she has an STD. And the worst part is, she got it because her boyfriend cheated on her. She didn't even know he was sleeping with someone else, and now she's sick because of it.
Oh my God, that poor girl. That's terrible, Marina.
But Mom, they were using the trust method. That's what she called it. They thought because they loved each other and promised to be faithful, they didn't need condoms or anything.
Marina, that's a very complicated situation. Trust is important, but it can't protect you from diseases.
But how can you be with someone if you can't trust them completely? I mean, what's the point of love if you still have to act like they might betray you?
Marina, it's not about not trusting them. It's about protecting yourself and being responsible.
But that's exactly what it is. If I have to use protection with someone I love, doesn't that mean I don't really trust them? Doesn't that mean I think they might cheat on me?
Marina, you're 15. You shouldn't even be thinking about having sex yet. This is exactly why these things happen.
Mom, I'm not stupid. I'm not planning anything. But Julia is only 16, and look what happened to her. This could happen to anyone, and you're just telling me not to think about it?
That's not what I meant. You're too young to be dealing with these kinds of decisions and risks.
Too young? Julia thought she was old enough to be in love. She thought she was old enough to trust someone completely. And now she has to tell her parents she has herpes because her boyfriend was sleeping around.
Well, maybe if she had been more careful, if she had listened to proper guidance instead of thinking she knew everything about love.
Are you seriously blaming Julia right now? She's the victim here. Her boyfriend lied to her, cheated on her, and gave her a disease she'll have for the rest of her life.
I'm not blaming her, but Marina, there are consequences to these decisions, and that's why you need to be more mature before.
Before what? Before I trust someone? Before I fall in love? Before I believe someone when they tell me they love me?
Marina, please calm down. I'm trying to protect you here.
Protect me from what? From love? From trusting people? Because that's what Julia did. She loved someone and trusted them completely, and it destroyed her life.
It didn't destroy her life, Marina. She'll get through this, but she needs to learn that love and protection aren't mutually exclusive.
But don't you see how messed up that is? She has to live with this forever now. Every future relationship, she'll have to have this horrible conversation. Oh, by the way, my ex-boyfriend cheated on me and gave me herpes.
I know it's hard, but that's exactly why we use protection. Not because we don't trust our partners, but because we value ourselves enough to stay safe and healthy.
But that sounds so clinical and cold, Mom. Julia thought she was in this beautiful, trusting relationship, and it was all a lie. How is anyone supposed to navigate that?
Look, I get that it's confusing, but this is exactly why you need to wait until you're older and more experienced to make these decisions.
Stop saying that. I'm not talking about me having sex. I'm talking about how do you ever trust anyone when something like this can happen?
Because, Marina, trust builds over time. It's not something you just give completely to someone right away.
But they've been together for 8 months. Julia said they talked about everything. They were planning their future together. If 8 months isn't enough time to trust someone, then when is?
It's not about the time. It's about... God. Marina, I don't know how to explain this in a way that won't scare you away from relationships forever.
I'm already scared. That's the problem. Julia was the most trusting, loving person I know, and look what happened to her. If it can happen to her, it can happen to anyone.
Marina, most relationships aren't like this. Most people are honest and faithful.
But how do you know? Julia thought her boyfriend was honest and faithful too. She would have bet her life on it. And she basically did.
You're right. And I'm sorry. This is a terrible situation, and I can see why it's shaken your faith in relationships.
It's not just relationships, Mom. It's everything. If someone can lie to your face while sleeping with other people and giving you diseases, then what else are people lying about?
Marina, I know this feels overwhelming, but you can't let one terrible situation make you lose faith in everyone.
One situation? Mom, do you know how many girls in my class have stories like this? Maybe not STDs, but cheating, lying, being used. It's like everywhere I look, girls are getting hurt by boys they trusted.
I I didn't realize it was so common in your school. That's really concerning.
And the worst part is, everyone always blames the girl somehow. She should have been more careful. She should have seen the signs. She should have protected herself better. What about him? What about his responsibility?
You're absolutely right. The boyfriend is completely responsible for the situation. He's the one who cheated, he's the one who lied, and he's the one who put Julia at risk.
But nobody's talking about that. They're all talking about what Julia should have done differently. Even you just said she should have been more careful.
I did say that, and I was wrong. I'm sorry. I think I was so scared for you that I immediately went into how do we prevent this mode instead of recognizing how wrong what he did was.
It's not just you, Mom. Mrs. Peterson spent most of the class talking about personal responsibility and making smart choices. But what smart choice could Julia have made when her boyfriend was lying to her face?
That's a really good point. If someone is being deliberately deceptive, there's only so much you can do to protect yourself.
Exactly, and that's what terrifies me. You can do everything right and still get hurt because you can't control what other people do.
That's true about a lot of things in life, Marina, not just relationships. There's always some level of risk in trusting people.
But this isn't just emotional hurt, Mom. This is her health, her body, her entire future. She'll have to deal with this for the rest of her life because some guy couldn't keep it in his pants.
I know, and that's incredibly unfair. But, Marina, there are ways to protect yourself while still being open to love and relationships.
Like what? Use condoms and hope for the best? Get tested constantly and make your boyfriend prove he's not cheating somehow?
Well, regular testing is actually a good idea for sexually active people, even in committed relationships.
See? That's exactly what I mean. Even you're saying you can't really trust anyone completely. You have to keep checking up on them.
It's not about not trusting them, it's about taking care of your health, like how you wear a seatbelt, even though you trust the other drivers on the road.
But that's different, Mom. Other drivers aren't telling you they love you and promising to keep you safe while secretly planning to crash into you.
Okay, that's actually a really good analogy. You're right. It is different when someone you love betrays that trust.
And the thing is, Mom, Julia really loved him. She was already talking about going to the same college, about their future together. She gave him everything, and he just threw it away for some random hookup.
That must be devastating for her on so many levels.
She's not even angry, Mom. She's just broken. She keeps asking why he would do this if he really loved her. And I don't know what to say, because I'm wondering the same thing.
Some people are just selfish, Marina. They want the security and love of a relationship, but also the excitement of being with other people.
But how do you tell the difference? Julia thought he was one of the good ones. He was sweet to her, he remembered important dates, he was always posting about how much he loved her on social media.
I think that's one of the hardest parts about relationships. You can't always tell who's genuine and who's just good at performing.
So what? You just have to assume everyone might be lying and protect yourself accordingly? That sounds like such a lonely way to live.
No, I don't think that's the answer either. But I think you can be open and loving while still maintaining some boundaries for your own safety.
What kind of boundaries? Like, always use protection even if you're in a committed relationship?
That's one example, yes. And also being with someone who respects those boundaries and doesn't try to pressure you out of them.
But what if they see those boundaries as a sign that you don't trust them? What if it hurts their feelings?
Marina, if someone truly loves you and cares about your well-being, they won't be hurt by you wanting to protect your health. They'll support it.
I guess, but it still feels like you're starting every relationship assuming the worst about the person.
Or you could look at it as starting every relationship prioritizing your own well-being, which is actually really healthy.
When you put it like that, it doesn't sound as bad, but I still feel so sad for Julia. She did everything she thought she was supposed to do. She loved him, she trusted him, she was faithful to him.
And none of what happened to her changes the fact that those are beautiful qualities. The problem isn't with how she loved, it's with how he handled being loved.
Do you think she'll ever be able to trust someone again after this?
I hope so. It'll probably take time and maybe some therapy, but I think people can heal from betrayals like this.
I saw a video on TikTok about a woman who got herpes from her ex-husband after he cheated on her, and she was talking about how hard it was to date again because of the stigma.
That's unfortunately very real. There's a lot of unfair stigma around STDs, even though they're incredibly common and often manageable.
That's another thing that makes me angry about this whole situation. Not only did he betray her and give her a disease, but now she has to deal with society judging her for having it.
You're right to be angry about that. The stigma around STDs often hurts people more than the actual medical condition.
Mrs. Peterson said that herpes is actually super common, and most people don't even know they have it because they never get tested.
That's true. And with proper treatment, people with herpes can live completely normal, healthy lives and have healthy relationships.
But Julia doesn't know that right now. Right now, she just feels dirty and broken, and like no one will ever want to be with her again.
Which is exactly why she needs support from her friends and family right now, not judgment.
I want to be there for her, but I don't really know what to say. Like, what do you even say to someone in that situation?
Just be her friend. Listen to her when she needs to talk, remind her that she's still the same amazing person she always was, and don't treat her any differently.
I'm scared she's going to change, though. She's already started skipping lunch and avoiding her other friends. What if this changes her permanently?
Traumatic experiences do change people, but that doesn't mean the change has to be all negative. Sometimes people become stronger and more self-aware after going through something difficult.
I hope so. I just hate that she has to go through this at all. We're supposed to be worried about college applications and prom themes, not STDs and betrayal.
I know, sweetheart. I wish I could protect all of you from these kinds of experiences.
But you can't, can you? That's what's so scary about growing up. There are all these things that can hurt you that your parents can't shield you from.
That's true, and I know that's a frightening realization. But Marina, you're not powerless. You can learn from Julia's experience without having to go through it yourself.
What do you mean?
You can learn that protection isn't about lack of trust, it's about self-care. You can learn to have open conversations about sexual health with any future partners. You can learn to trust your instincts if something feels off.
But Julia trusted her instincts, and they told her he loved her and would never hurt her.
Sometimes people are very good at hiding their true nature, especially in the beginning of relationships. That's why it's important to give trust gradually, not all at once.
How do you do that, though? Like, what does gradual trust look like in a relationship?
Well, you start by seeing if their words match their actions over time. Do they do what they say they'll do? Do they treat other people in their life with respect? Are they honest about small things?
That makes sense. But what about the protection thing? When do you decide it's safe to stop using condoms?
Honestly,
many couples choose to continue using protection throughout their relationship. Others wait until they've both been tested, they've had extensive conversations about exclusivity, and they've been together for a significant amount of time.
How much time?
There's no magic number, Marina. It depends on the couple and how well they know each other. But I'd say at least 6 months to a year of exclusive dating.
Julia and her boyfriend were together for 8 months.
You're right. time alone isn't enough. It also requires complete honesty and transparency from both people.
Which you can't guarantee, no matter how long you wait.
No, you can't. That's why many people choose to use protection indefinitely, even in long-term committed relationships.
Does that work, though? Like, are people okay with that, or do they feel like something's missing?
In my experience, people who prioritize their health and communicate openly about it tend to have stronger, more trusting relationships overall.
Really? That's surprising.
Think about it. If you can talk openly about something as potentially awkward as sexual health, you can probably talk about anything.
I never thought of it that way. So, having those conversations actually brings you closer together?
It can, if both people approach it with maturity and care for each other's well-being.
But what if the guy gets offended or thinks you're accusing him of cheating?
Then he's probably not mature enough to be having sex in the first place.
Wow, Mom, that's pretty direct.
Sexual health is serious, Marina. Anyone who gets defensive about protecting each other's health is showing you something important about their character.
That's actually really helpful to know. So, it's like a test of whether they actually care about you?
Not a test, exactly, but it is a good indicator of their maturity and consideration for your well-being.
I wish Julia had known that before she got involved with her boyfriend.
Me too. But Marina, you know it now, and you can share this perspective with your friends who might be in similar situations.
Do you think I should talk to Julia about this stuff? Or would that be weird since she's already dealing with so much?
I think you should follow her lead. If she wants to talk about it, be there to listen. But don't feel like you need to give advice unless she asks for it.
What if she asks what I think she should do about dating in the future?
You could share some of what we've talked about today, that protecting your health doesn't mean you don't trust someone, and that the right person will support your boundaries.
That's true. And maybe I could find some of those positive stories about people living with herpes that show it doesn't have to define her whole life.
That's a wonderful idea. There are actually lots of resources and support communities for people dealing with STDs.
I just want her to know she's not alone and she's not damaged goods or anything like that.
Those are exactly the messages she needs to hear right now.
Mom, can I ask you something personal?
Of course.
Did you and Dad always use protection, even when you were committed?
We did for the first couple of years, and we both got tested before we stopped. We also had very long, detailed conversations about exclusivity and what that meant to both of us.
And you were okay with using protection for that long?
It actually made me feel more secure in the relationship, knowing that we were both prioritizing our health and being responsible.
That's so different from what I expected. I thought it would feel like a barrier or something.
I think that's a common misconception, especially among young people. But protection can actually enhance intimacy because you're not worried about consequences.
Huh. I never thought about it reducing anxiety.
Absolutely. When you know you're being safe and responsible, you can be more present and enjoy the experience more.
That makes a lot of sense. I think I need to completely change how I think about this stuff.
What do you mean?
I was thinking of protection as this thing that gets in the way of true intimacy and trust. But maybe it's actually part of true intimacy and trust.
That's a very mature way to look at it, Marina.
I mean, if you really love someone, you want to protect their health, right? And you want them to protect yours.
Exactly. It's not about suspicion or lack of trust. It's about care and responsibility.
I wish someone had explained it to Julia that way. Maybe things would have been different.
Maybe. But Marina, even with the best education and intentions, sometimes bad things happen because other people make selfish choices.
I know. But at least she would have had some protection from the worst consequences.
That's true, and that's why these conversations are so important to have before you're in a situation where you need to make these decisions.
Mom,
I'm really glad we talked about this today, even though it was uncomfortable.
Me too, sweetheart. I know I didn't handle it perfectly at first, but I'm grateful you felt like you could come to me with this.
I was scared you'd just tell me I was too young to think about any of this and shut down the conversation.
I almost did, and I'm sorry about that. These are important topics, and you deserve honest, thoughtful answers.
Can we make a deal that I can always come to you with questions like this, even if they're awkward?
Absolutely. I promise to do better at listening first and panicking second.
And I promise to keep talking to you instead of just figuring things out on my own.
That sounds like a good deal to me.
I think I'm going to text Julia and see if she wants to hang out this weekend. Not to talk about this stuff necessarily, but just to be normal friends.
I think that's exactly what she needs right now.
And Mom, thank you for not making me feel stupid for being confused and scared about all this.
Marina, your feelings about this are completely valid. This is complicated, scary stuff, and it's normal to have lots of questions and emotions about it.
I love you, Mom.
I love you too, sweetheart. And I'm proud of you for being such a caring friend to Julia and for being brave enough to have this conversation with me.